Hey everyone, it's John, your Indian Cine-MANIAC, back with another 10ish-minute review on John Talks Indian Cinema. Okay, so this one, this is a 2024 film, and it is a film that has huge spoilers. So I'm going to start it off with a general review, and then I'm going to have a spoiler section. So if you have not seen the film that I am about to tell you about, you don't want to watch the spoiler section, because if you've never seen this movie, you want to be surprised by it, as I was. So the film I am watching, based on recommendations, was Maharaja from 2024. It's directed by Nithilan Swaminathan. It stars Vijay Sethupathi, who I've seen in Vikram, Merry Christmas, and Jawan. Merry Christmas was the latest one I've seen him in. Anurag Kashyap, who's in Leo, Sacred Games, and The Lunchbox. Natarajan Subramaniam, and Abhirami. Abhirami. Okay, so again, I want to make this clear. I'm going to do a short general review, and then I'm going to do a spoiler-filled review. So I will let you know when the spoilers are coming. Okay, so basically, let's start with the story. The story is it's kind of hard to explain without giving away stuff, but there are three ongoing stories within this film. It's also nonlinear. It bounces back and forth in time. And there are times when it gets a little confusing of which time era you are now watching. But basically, the story begins with a man who, again, no spoilers here, and it's a pretty shocking opening where a man is across the street holding up stuffed animals while his wife and daughter are across the street, and he's trying to get approval of which one to get. And as he's doing this, a truck veers in and crashes into the building where the mother and daughter is. That's where it starts. Then it goes, this same character who is a barber, he works in a salon. He goes to, and his name's Maharaja. He goes to a police station and says he was robbed and his Lakshmi was stolen. And the Lakshmi ends up being a dustbin, a steel dustbin. And the story is basically him with the police, who are corrupt. He's bribing them to help find this Lakshmi that means everything to his daughter. While this is happening, there's also a group of robbers that are going around. They rob houses, they kill the owners, and rape the women. And that's the plot of this movie, finding this Lakshmi. And obviously, the robbers, all the storylines interconnect at the end. Okay? So I'm going to do something I don't normally do. First of all, I'm going to give the story a 5. Because the way everything weaves together is pretty incredible. And I'm usually pretty good at predicting what's going to happen. And I did not predict what happened in this film because of the changing time errors. It made it more difficult for that. Okay, so I'm giving the story a 5. Now, again, I normally do this at the end. I'm going to do it now before I get to the spoilers. Okay, I'm going to give. I loved this movie, loved it. I'm going to give the movie a 5. And the performances were fantastic. The lead character, Maharaja, was he. You know, it's funny. He is similar in his movies. He doesn't do a lot of emoting, and he's a very quiet actor, but he's a very intense actor. And there were scenes where he had like quiet rage, but when he's describing what happened with the robbery, He's wonderful in the head bad guy. What was his name? I want to make sure I get his name right. I think it was Selvum. I think, yeah, Selvum, the bad guy. He was excellent. And it goes back and forth in time, so their appearance changes, and it's not just gray in the hair either. They looked a lot different in the present than they did when they were going back. He was great. The cops were excellent. His daughter, Maharaja's daughter, was really good in this. I loved all the performances. The music was good. It fit this to a T. There was no outrageous musical numbers, and this is a Tamil film, so you don't usually see that in these. So I thought the music was great. I give the music a 4. But and again, I'm giving the verdict much quicker than I normally do because I want to get to the spoilers. But this movie was a 5. I love this movie. This movie had me right at the get-go. No, I shouldn't say that because I will say that for the first half hour or so, I think it's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. The first half hour to 45 minutes, you just don't know what's going on. You're trying to figure it out. It's kind of a slow burn. But once it gets going, I'm telling you, and the end is I was dreaming about the ending. I swear to you, because I watched this last night, and I was dreaming about it, and I was thinking about everything about this film. So, to me, such a good film, such a good film. Okay, so I'm going to give it a 5, an overall 5. If you haven't seen it, please see this film. That's all I'm going to say about it without spoilers. Okay. So if you haven't seen the film, do not watch this next section. If you have, let's talk about it. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to turn this sucker off after you hit the subscribe, the notification, and the like button, and maybe even share it. Okay, just do that. I think it's right there. No, it's the other side. So no, it's over here. That's where it is. It's over there, right there. Okay. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. This thing was amazing. Um, the way the story worked, where he gets robbed, and there's something about, and I knew something. There was two things that happened that were a little foreshadowing. One, he's in the, I don't know who it was, the school administrator, whoever it was, but the daughter was accused of stealing or alcohol, and he knows she didn't do it. So he grabs a hold of a steel pipe, and like 10 people are trying to drag him out, and he's crushing the steel pipe till finally the guy apologizes to the daughter because he wasn't going to let go till he apologized because he knew she was wrong. He was wrong. So that shows the dedication to the daughter. Okay. The second thing he did was he told the story repeatedly of getting robbed. And whenever he told the story, two things happened. One, he always drank a big bottle of water before he told the story. Second, his story never changed. It was exactly the same. The way he told it, the tone of the way he told it. Now, I've seen enough movies and enough TV shows where people get interrogated that they always tell you if somebody is saying the story exactly the same every time, they're making it up or they're lying about it. Okay. And so I knew something was going on with it. I just didn't know what it was. So let me say that. Okay. So as the story, and again, it's non-linear, so it's jumping all over the place. Where there's this scene that you don't know why this scene is happening, where a guy walks in to a mechanic shop and says that they stole my sunglasses that were in my car, and he starts beating everybody up. And then he finds out the guy who had the car was supposed to return it the night before, return it the next morning. Well, you find out this car was used in one of the robberies. Okay. You don't find that out till later on because then there's a scene with it. So then this guy goes back into a bar. The guy who stole the glasses goes into a bar to confront the guy who beat everyone up at the mechanic's office, and he beats everybody up. Okay. Then you see that scene. But what you don't know is, and this happens later on, Maharaja was there looking for this guy because he's figured out this guy's one of the robbers who knows where the Lakshmi is. Okay. So there was a lot of that. There's a scene. And I mean, the most powerful scene was when his wife and daughter allegedly get killed. Well, you find out the wife and daughter was at the house of the ex-wife of the robber that is the cause of all these problems. You don't find that out till the very end. And so all that's going on, right? But then this quiet Maharaja, this intense Maharaja, then becomes an action star. And there's a scene in a warehouse where he finally confronts the guy who stole the glasses to find out who the other robbers are. And there's this giant fight where he's beating up like 10 people, and it's graphic. They cut an arm off, they cut a head off, but it is fantastic. Um, so and they keep intercutting with this police informer who ends up who's comic relief, but ends up being supremely evil because now they flash back to the actual night that his house was robbed, and that's when you find out he wasn't in the house when it was robbed. It was his daughter. So the whole story he told about him getting robbed, it was the daughter. And she is just beaten and she's raped repeatedly by this fat comic relief guy and then by the squirrely guy that he cuts his head off. And then you find out the reason why they were there, and you find this out in a flashback. The head robber, Selvin, thinks Maharaj is the one that turned him into the police 15 years ago. He's been in prison the whole time. Now he wants his revenge. So he gets his revenge with the daughter, but leaves the daughter alive. So again, this is jumping all through time. So you're trying to figure out what time frame this is happening, right? So then the girl's in the hospital, just beaten to a pulp. And she says to the father, promise me that I can confront the man who did this to me to understand why he did it. And the father promises. Now the camera pulls down and you see the Lakshmi under the bed. So the Lakshmi, him going to the police for the Lakshmi, was only about smoking out the robbers because he knew they'd figure out a way to find it. In fact, they made a replica, and the comic relief, the police informer, who now, because the cops are on the take, convince him to admit that he stole it, so then they can get their money. Well, what he doesn't know is the cops know what he actually did, and there's a scene where they confront him and they leave a machete with Maharaja and say, "Go ahead, do what you got to do," and walk out. And they all say, "If it was your daughter, what would you do?" I mean, it was intense, and it was like twists and turns all over the place. And here's for me what did it for me. And in hindsight now, you can look at it and think a little old boy. But the last scene where the robber, who's been in prison for 15 years, he looks different. He finally confronts Maharaja, and there's a big fight, and it's a pretty good fight too. Up in this tall building, they're hurling bricks at each other, and finally Maharaja gets the best of him and smashes his legs, and he's just sitting there, and he's laughing because he says, "I hurt you. I did this to you. I did this to your daughter, and you'll never forget that." Well, now a rickshaw pulls up. The daughter comes out, bruised, bloodied, foot wrapped up, arm in a sling, and finally confronts Selvum and says, "I could kill you, but I'm not going to do that." Uh, and made a speech, and then grabs the father. And as she turns and walks away, Selvum notices a little, like a burn almost, or a wound on her shoulder, which is what his kid had when she was little. That's when he realizes this girl is his daughter, not Maharaja's. So the dustbin, which when the truck went into the building, the dustbin fell on a baby and saved her life, but the other baby died. Well, you find out at the end it was Selvum's daughter who was saved. And that's the ending of this film. And it was like, so now he's screaming, "That's my daughter, that's my daughter." And the fight, and Maharaj and the daughter leave in the rickshaw, and she leaves a footprint in the dirt. And you're like, that was interesting. I wonder why they did that. Well, now Selvum jumps off the building, and it's brutal. They show him hitting the ground, blood everywhere, and the blood flows into his daughter's footprint. And that's how it ends. I'm telling you, this movie Now, I read some of the reviews, and the majority were excellent, and there were some saying they didn't like it because it was so predictable. You know what? I got to tell you something. I didn't see some of this stuff coming. The way it all tied together, the script is beautiful. The cinematography was great. I will. There's one thing I didn't understand. Maybe you can tell me this in the comment section. There are scenes with cobras, pretty like intense, right? And you don't know what the cobra means. And there's one scene where he comes out of the police station with a cobra in his hand. There's no payoff for that. So I didn't understand that. I didn't know what it meant. I might have missed something. Maybe it's culture. Maybe it's I don't know. But maybe you can explain it to me. But I'm telling you, this movie ends up in my top 5 list. I couldn't stop thinking about it all night. All the little twists, the nonlinear storytelling, his performance, which was just so intense, in the emotion that he shows. When he's telling the story, and as he starts to realize who did this, and he recognizes it, and he's got to keep his cool. Man, it was so good. And let me I want to see if anything in here that I can no, I mean I just I'm just telling you, fantastic movie. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, please see it. I want to know what you guys think about it in the comment section if you've seen it. If after you've watched it, then you watch the rest of this with the spoilers, let me know what you think. But this is I'm going to get the other guys to watch this movie too, because I thought it was fantastic. I also read that Amir Khan bought the rights to it, and I think he's going to remake it. I think that'll be interesting, but I think it'll be a completely different movie. So good, so good, so good. So that's it. I can't heap any more praise on this film. That's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you don't mind the spoilers. But that's it. So we'll I don't know what the next film is going to be, but that's okay. It's kind of fun. I'm going through my recommendation list, and I'm picking out something. So again, I'm trying to build a channel. It's slow. It's really slow. I'm not getting a lot of views, but I appreciate the people who are sticking with me. So please subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and share it if you think someone might like this. Okay. All right. That's it. We'll talk to you soon with another 10ish minute review. Where? On John Talks Indian Cinema. Thanks for watching.
Zooby dooby pampara, zooby dooby parampam. Zooby dooby nache que pagal stupid man.
Zooby dooby pampara, zooby dooby parampam. Zooby dooby nache.